I wanna learn two things with the Chevra before we have a few minutes, a short second seder, and we're zeichet our mitzvah chaviva, our precious mitzvah of Ner Chanukah. I'd like to study something on Parshas Vayeshev, and then something on Ner Chanukah. Though the two may connect, but we'll see. I want to ask the guys a question, something that for a long time bothers me, but I want to study it now. Rabbi Shapiro spoke Shalashudas. He said dvarim nefloim that connect mamish to Chanukah. It connects to the mitzvah of adlakas ner Chanukah. He said something that's miyasayid of Chanukah, and please understand this in your own learning. He was describing, like, I have times my kids want to prepare for a test or for school and learn a pasuk with me. Okay, so let's prepare. My teacher said, and you always learn, put the chazal through your system. Read the pasuk, read the Rashi, and work it through. I don't care. I once learned, forget what you once learned. Take now and put the Torah through your system. Rabbi Shapiro's speeches are magical to me because when he speaks, it always feels like he's telling a story. That's how all of us B'Tzalel should learn Torah. When he speaks, he tells you what happened. I looked at the Chazal, and I was very troubled because he's filtering the Chazal through his essence. You feel you're getting the Chazal filtered right through this holy Yid. That's Torah. He quoted, Rabbi Shapiro quoted from Farkas, that when you hear Divrei Torah from the great Rebbes, he quoted the great Rebbes. This is true from any person who learns Torah with honesty. You're getting the Torah with the soul of the tzaddik. The tzaddik's handing you his soul. When Rabbi Shapiro says Divrei Torah, I feel like he gives everybody himself. He belongs to us. The Torah filtered through the Chacham. So when you learn Torah, always, Momo, read the Torah. What's it saying? I don't care if it's a Gemara in Gittin, if it's a pasuk. What's Hashem saying to me? What's happening here? I'm filtered presently. Not I once heard a Dvar Torah. I want to read a pasuk in Vayeshev that I want to learn now. I don't want to hear it. I don't like Divrei. I don't want to hear like an old. I don't care what you once. That's. Yaakov Metz once asked me. He said he listens every time you say an old Divrei Torah, you say it different. How would you say it the same as yesterday? If you're different today, if you say yesterday's Dvar Torah, that's death. That's death. Yesterday's Dvar Torah is my dahava is so no chayos. Yesterday's Dvar Torah. What does that have to do with today? Study it. Put it through your system. Ask yourself what it's saying. So I want to learn a pasuk with the Chevra. We're going to talk. What I just said is I nailed, right, Shapiro nailed Chanukah. We're going to talk in a minute that what we just described is Chanukah. First I want to practice it on a pasuk in the Chumash. And we're going to do it live. We're going to demonstrate and do it, Avi Ben Moshe. We're not reading. Hashem's talking to me and you. What's he saying? I don't want to vert. I once heard, what's he saying now? What's the pasuk saying? Put it through your system. That's how you learn Torah. So David, what I want to figure out, Eishes Paitifera, and then we're going to get them, we're going to demonstrate it, we're going to do this live, and then we're going to talk about Limud Torah, and we're going to prepare for our precious mitzvah that's coming up in an hour. In the Torah, in this week's parsha, so Eishes Paitifera, Yosef Atzadik's boss, his wife, tries to seduce him to get him to do an Aveira. And with tremendous, super powerful energy, Vayimoin, Yosef Atzadik refuses with tremendous gvura. He refuses to do the Aveira. Vayomer el Eishes Adonov, and he says to the wife of his master, and he says to the wife of his master. Now, before we even go weiter, if you follow the words of the Torah, that's so extra. Because it says, Vayachar dvar me'elev, atise eishes Adonai v'seinel Yosef. The wife of his master looked at Yosef, atoymer shechvi imi. She says, do an Aveira with me. Shechvimi, lie with me. So he refuses. Vayomer lo, he said to her, you don't say her name again. Vayomer leisha sadon, I know who she is. In the pasuk before, it said, Vatista eisha sadon v'seinel Yosef. Vatoymer shechvimi. So he responds. Don't say he responds to Eisha Sadoinav. I know who she is. Vayomer lo, he said to her, but the Torah repeats again. Vayomer Eisha Sadoinav, which is part of Yosef HaTzadik's strength, is he viewed her, you're my boss's wife. You're my boss's wife. He viewed her, you're my boss's wife. It's a big eitz to anybody who knows these inyanim. Anybody, a big eitz, it's my boss's wife. It's my boss's wife. First of all, Stam, who she is, his boss's wife, that already creates a distance. It creates her to be a person. She's my boss's wife. And he says to his boss's wife means that he managed in that difficult situation to see her. She's saying, live with me, live with me. And he said to his boss's wife, that's how we viewed her. And he says as follows to her, Hey nadoini lo yada iti ma babayis. My master doesn't know anything about the house. He completely trusts me. He doesn't know ma iti, ma lo yada iti ma babayis. He just completely, unequivocally trusts me on everything in the house. Everything he owns, he put in my hands. He doesn't check up on me. He has no idea. He doesn't even have systems. He so trusts me, your husband, that he doesn't know my layada iti mababayis. He doesn't even check out what's with me in the house. He completely, unequivocally trusts me. Everything he owns, he gave me. Eineni gadol b'bayis says amimeni. Nobody's higher in his house. Nobody has more power in my boss's house. He didn't hold anything back from me. I have access to everything in his house, B'Tzalel. You're the only thing off limits, his wife. Basharat Ishtai, because you're his wife. How could I do this bad thing? That's his speech to Eshes Paitifera. He trusts me unequivocally. He's given me everything. You're the only thing off limits. How can I do this bad act? How can I do this bad act? And then there are two extra words, and I'm curious what the Chaver... I don't know. Hashem's talking through Yosef HaTzadik, and he says, V'chatasi le'loikim, and it will be a sin to God. That's the second point. V'chatasi le'loikim will be a sin to God. I'm not asking questions. I'm trying to learn a pasuk. I'm almost confused. He's talking to her. I can't do this Aveira. It's so illogical. There's no derech eretz to this. Your husband, my boss, trusts me. He's given me all. How can I betray him? It would be such a deep betrayal. I can't betray the boss. And oh, by the way, God also doesn't let Esha sish. As Rashi says, Chatasi lelokim b'nei noach nitztav la'arayis. I'm curious what the guys think, what that second point is. And which one would you say? She says, do the Aveira. Shech v'imi. What?
I can do two.
You would, and both things? I would either ask that God said no, just say that. I'm not asking a question. I have no agenda. I want to learn Chumash with you. That's it. Part of me says, just say, God doesn't let. But he gives first, logically, I can't do this. Doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. Then he's ma'isif chatasi lelekim, and as well it's a sin to God. That was the first thing. That's the first thing. That's what he's saying. That's what it means. How could I do this terrible badness? I'd be such a jerk to do it. Your husband, I'd be a jerk. V'chatasi lelakim, it's a sin to God as well. I'm interested. It's fascinating to me that he doesn't suffice to say it's a sin. I'm tarnished. I'm not allowed. He doesn't say I'm not allowed. He starts with a shmuz first. I have no kasha. I'm just studying Torah. He first starts that it's wrong. It's illogical. That's his first start. From the air, what?
What's the vayimayim? What is that part of the vayimayim, or is it separate?
This is what he says, vayimayim, and he says this. Vayimayim vayomer. He refuses saying, and he says, vayimayim, he refuses vayomer, and he says, Aleishes Adonov. And he says to her, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense, a betrayal of this. Now, what's fascinating to me, this is always when you figure out what's more fundamental. God said no. Why do I say that's more fundamental? Even if it wouldn't be a betrayal to my boss. Let's say his boss didn't trust him like this. Let's say it wasn't even his boss. And let's say she went to Yosef and he didn't work for the husband. And she said, do an Aveira. Chatasi lelekim echkenish. Punkt here, there's another taina. It's interesting that he gives this whole other taina, which even if this wouldn't be true, you wouldn't do it. Chatasi lelekim. The ikar word is chatasi lelekim. It's a sin. The main reason you're not doing it is not because of that. Because even if that wouldn't be true, let's say he didn't trust you and you weren't his worker. Let's say she said to you, Yosef Atzadik, to a random person, and said, Shech ve'imi chatasi lelekim. I'm not allowed. That's the truth. So in a way, your reason's not even the reason you're not doing it. But in this case, it is true also. He gives a shmuz. He says it doesn't make sense. Kol asher yesh lo nasam biyadi, einena gadol ba'isa mimeni. Lo chasar mimeni ma'uma ki maisach. Eich esa ra g'dol hazos. I can't do such an undignified thing. I can't. It's not a derech eretz. V'chatasi lelakim. It's a sin to God as well. What I would ask to say chatasi lelakim is it's not true you're not doing it because he trusted you. It happens to be your trust. It's a good reason not to do it. But even if that wouldn't be true, you wouldn't do it. Chatasi lelakim. The isser is not only when you work for the guy and he trusts you. So then the more reason is chatasi lelakim. It's the truer reason. So what do you even bring in? He trusts me. That's not the svar. It's not even true. Even if he wouldn't trust you, wouldn't do it. So I love it. He's learning Torah. The man's learning Torah. So Mo Muslims tell her. She's pressuring. He says something for her. Klape him, the reason is chatasi lelakim. Maybe to her that doesn't mean anything. To her, chach, understand there's a svar. Even you can understand it. Maybe. I'm busting. I'm coming to the what? Good David. Momo mechavin to Ramban. That's you're learning Torah. So Momo says, Eina chanami, klape himself, chatasi lelakim. It's a sin. And he wouldn't even say, I work for you. He wouldn't say it to her. Because it's not true, even if he didn't work. Chatasi lelakim. But klape, for her, is eicha ragdal. You can understand this. Back off. You understand. It's crazy to do such a thing. What? She's mitzvah. Of course she's mitzvah. I don't know if she cares. So klape her, you say a svara. You tell her a svara. That everybody can understand. That's universal. He trusts me. It would be crazy to betray the trust like that. Klape mi chatasi lelakim. Both of us have chatasi lelakim. So we ask, but in other words, the reason he's saying not to do it is not the reason. Even if he didn't trust me, I wouldn't do it. I have a sense here. Again, I want to learn a pasuk. You have to learn a sense. I'm learning the pasuk that he said to her. Again, Momos pshat b'seder ken zayin. He's talking to her with the svara. Chatasi lelakim is for him. I wonder here that eina chanami. See, the reason he's not doing it is chatasi lelakim, because even if he wouldn't be his boss's wife, it would be anybody's wife. But I wonder that there's a bigger breach. The breach of Derech Eretz could be even a more fun. In the Seder of the construction of man, Derech Eretz Kadma L'Torah. You have to be a human, then you could be a from human. A human, then a from human. Chman al-Itzlan, a Bachar Mechal Shabbos in Yeshiva. Chman al-Itzlan. So there's a breach in Torah. Shabbos Kodesh, a tremendous breach, Shabbos Kodesh. I think the breach in Derech Eretz is much more fundamental. If I was a Bachar trying to grow, my first step, I want to come to Madregas of Shabbos. The first step is to be a norm. I don't care what anybody else is doing. A guy in a yeshiva, you have no Derech Eretz, you break Shabbos. Not Derech Eretz, no respect for an environment. I'm not talking about the environment the next guy's doing. I'm talking about that I'm in a yeshiva. I'm in a place. If I eat a food, if I put a pickle in my mouth from yeshiva, then I keep Shabbos here. Derech Eretz. So Derech, it's a basic of a human being. There's a Derech Eretz that in the construction of man, I could tell you when I yell at a Bachar for Chilul Shabbos, and I get it from here, the first yelling is, where's your Derech Eretz? I say, Derech Eretz, he broke Chilul Shabbos, Chayiv, terrible Aveira, Chilul Shabbos. But the first breach is, where's your respect? I want you to be a frum guy, but you'll never be a frum guy till you're a guy. Be a mensch, kind of be a person. He said, I didn't think of it. Develop Derech Eretz, basic and Haggah. If one of my kids would not stand up at a stadium where they stood up for the national anthem, I'd be very, very upset. I'd be livid at my kid, livid. Derech Eretz. Where's your basic dignity? Everybody stood up. There's a basic Derech Eretz. It would anger me tremendously if he didn't stand up. I'm not talking about Chilul Hashem. Let's say he became invisible. I'm talking about Derech Eretz. To them, it's important. They're celebrating the flag, the country. Where's your Derech Eretz? Your basic mode of behavior, Derech Eretz. A breach in Derech Eretz is a more fundamental. You're an earlier stage as Derech Eretz, a person, and then a from person. You first have to be a mensch to be a from mensch. And it could be in what Yosef HaTzadik said. The first breach is Eich Esa Ragda, before I even get Chatasi Lelikim, before I even talk about the sin to Hashem, I'm not a person. Kaidim Kol is Eich Esa Rag, I wouldn't be a human. So the first breach that would be, the first thing to face and to grapple is Ich bin a mensch. I'm a person, Yosef. I'm a person. I'm not betraying. It could be that even allows you to be a from person. From there, you go to Chatasi Lelikim. I'm also a from person. God doesn't let me. Kaidim Kol, I'm a mensch. I'm a human being. Human dignity. The man trusts me. The man gives me everything. I'm not a betrayer. I have basic Derech Eretz, a basic conduct of a human being. At the point I'm a human being, I have Derech Eretz, I'm a human being, I have a basic conduct. You then, from there, you can go, Chatasi Lelakim, I don't want to betray Hashem. From there, you're a mensch, you could be a from mensch. So it could be that's why he even says this first, Dave. What do you hold, Dave? I think so. It's what it sounds like in the Psukim. His first thing is, I wouldn't be a mensch. That's before, and that's true. Even if it wouldn't be that breach, I'd have Chatasta. But the first thing to say, the first breach, the first focus is Eich Esa Rag Doilazeh. How can I betray my Adon pace?
The first one's for her and the second one's for him?
No, so that's what Momo said. I'm saying different than Momo. Momo says that he's talking to her and one's for him. I'm saying something different. I'm saying that they has to construct a human being. Both for him. The first thing to face, to encounter is I want to be a human being. I wouldn't be a human being if I betray an Adam like that. It's not normal. I want to be a human. I want to be a dignified person. From there, I'll be a from a mensch. Chatasi Lelikim. What do you say, Doves? It sounds like that, and the psukim sound like that. Saying such a thing, that the first line of defense is it's not human to do such a thing. That's his first line. Nachdem v'chatasi lelikim. Hashem doesn't let you know be ish. But the breach that may be even more fundamental, that's Derech Eretz Kadma L'Torah. I was involved at Pace in asking a big person about a bacher going off to rehab. He needed help, about going off to rehab, getting help. And then we were clearing, we were struggling. The one place, I don't want to say the psak as a psak. I'm not saying it as a psak. But I'm telling you, as the thoughts that a Gadol B'Yisrael was asked, there was a place that was a much better place, but they didn't have kashrus, Rahman al-Itzlan. Macholis Asuris is Chamer. And another place was kosher, but it wasn't as good of a place. And the Gadol said, first build a person, then you'll have a from person. First make sure the person's a person. In Psak, I heard this from the Gadol. First make sure they're a person. Then we'll have a from person. You can't have a from person. From person is two words. A person who's from. You first, you have to be a person. A little bit it sounds, this pasuk sounds that way. That's what it...
I think they're both motors.
I'm sorry?
They're both generators for the Vayimayim. It uses both. It's a description. Rabbi's answering the order also, but it's not the kasha. Even without this, you have this was a big part of what he put into the Vayimayim.
What Aryeh said, I think about a lot. Pace, I want you to hear this. What Aryeh said matters to me a lot. And somebody asked, Yosef asked, and Aryeh's saying, Vayiman. I like that Yosef Atzadik jumps up over here to speak up. Good. Yosef says here, he says Vayiman, he refuses Pace to do the Aveira, and then he says these two things. He says that it's how can I betray my Adon? Of course, both of these things are the engine that fueled the Vayiman. He's struggling. Like Chazal teach us, he was tempted to do the Aveira. He went Laseis Malachta and he refused. And these were the engines that drove it. And the two engines are, how can I do... One engine is it's complete disrespect. It's complete disloyalty. It's bizarre to do such a thing. And a second is chatasi le'lekim. I will have sinned to God. It's a betrayal to Hashem. Chatasi le'lekim. I wanna say something on Aryeh, but I wanna say, in order ever not to do an Aveira, it has to come from deep places inside. You never cannot sin. My mother's going to be upset. It's got to come from deep places inside. And Yosef Atzadik brings two very deep places. I want to say something that we have a very shallow v'chatasi le'lekim. It's interesting. Pace, Yosef Atzadik doesn't say, first of all, it's a betrayal to my boss, and second of all, I'm not allowed to do it. Hudi, this I never told you, and the second thing he said, I noticed this year, is he says, V'chatasi le'lekim, I will have sinned to God. Do you realize that's a strange thing? We're used to that. It's an Aveira to do it. You're not allowed to do it. Our job, a Bachar's Mechalel Shabbos. You're not allowed. God said no. Do you know there's an energy? I don't want to be disloyal to my Hashem. Chatasi le'loikim is not what you think. V'chatas, and I will have sinned to Hashem. They say you're not allowed to do it. So it's a strange way of saying you're not allowed to do it. If you do it, it's called a chet. Chatasi le'loikim is that he doesn't say, and Hashem said you're not allowed to do it. He should say, first of all, forget the order, so fine. First of all, it's a betrayal. And second of all, God said not to. It doesn't say God said not to. We read it as if it said God says, not the words of the Torah. He doesn't say God said not to. He says, V'chatasi le'lekim, I will have sinned to my God. He has a relationship to Hashem. First of all, it's a betrayal to my boss. It's crazy. I will have sinned to God. I will have gone against Hashem. doesn't want to go against. I will have gone against Hashem. V'chatasi lelikim. My Hashem that I'm so close to. V'chatasi lelikim. I will have betrayed and disobeyed Hashem. That's what Yosef Atzadik, the two things he says. It's disloyal to my boss, and I don't want to be disloyal to my boss. V'chatasi lelikim, and I will have betrayed Hashem. I will have gone, my Hashem, I v'kesher to Hashem, who I talk to, who gives me things, who I'm so close to. V'chatasi lelikim. It will have been that I betrayed Hashem, who's my everything, who gives me all. V'chatasi lelikim, I will have betrayed, I will have gone against Hashem. Those are the two things Yosef Atzadik says that Aryeh explains fuel his Vayimayim, fuel this powerful ability to refuse to do the Aveira. He has these two powerful fuels that I can't be civil being a betrayer. It doesn't make sense to me. I can't wrap my mind betraying my boss like this. I can't do that. And the second thing, I will have sinned to God. It doesn't say God said not to do it. I will have sinned to God, my God. I will have sinned to Hashem. Interesting. At the moment of an Asayan, it's like hard to remember a whole shmuz. At the moment of an Asayan, you don't have like, you're not, halavai, if somebody could run and pick up a Mesilas Yesharim, pick up a pasuk halavai, but you can remember yourself. To remember a whole shmuz, you remember one, sometimes there's one nekuda to do this, betrayal. Can't be betrayal. You could something that's present with you. That's part. Any person can feel themselves. At this moment, it's a betrayal. I can't be such a betrayer. And I like Hashem. You can't remember long shmuzim, but sometimes there's a nekuda that's so central to what's happening. You could grab onto, and it's interesting. You could grab on to these two things. Why he puts first, maybe what we're saying, Derech Eretz Kadon L'Torah, why he puts that first. Okay. I wanted to learn this pasuk. I present it to the Chevra, study it. It's a big pasuk. This is Yosef Atzadik's tremendous kayach to Vayimayim, to refuse to do an Aveira. And this was the engine, as Aryeh explained to us, Kedai to study what this engine was that allowed Yosef Atzadik to be so strong.
Could it be that when someone's facing a stallion and let's say his type is engaged, it very much drags him down to this earth. It's much more gashmi, and it's very hard to sort of just tell yourself when Hashem says no. So the first thing maybe he wanted to do was speak to his human side, even to just get in first.
Brilliant. That's brilliant. Daniel says, Pace, hear what Daniel said? That only speaking to his human side in the moment, he can't break out of himself in that moment. He's tempted like crazy. He can't say, Hashem, I'll sin to God. Like, God's not in the picture at that moment. At the point that he can handle with himself, he can come to say v'chatasi lelikim. He first has to, within myself, I can't be such a betrayer. That would be the first, and now he felt himself. How do you hold him? He might be right. No, brilliant. More than brilliant, it's present and it's excellent. Yeah.
Once a person got past that, like now they're open to the lishma.
If a guy sees, David, this is b'derech Daniel. A guy sees a billboard that's pritzistic. Pace, listen to this. A guy has a billboard. There's a billboard mayor that's like inappropriate. There's something inappropriate. And he's tempted. He's a human. The first thing, if Hashem doesn't let me look, that's very hard. That's not where I'm not there. often if he visualize, who are you? Visualize, I could see a guy surrounded by 200 people who don't have no dignity, and they're all together looking. That's not what I am. It's not. I don't see myself like that. If he can grab on to that first. If he can grab on first, I just don't see myself like that. I picture you together with 200 like bar guys who have no dignity, who haven't worked on anything. Just that alone would make me look away. Before he even feels outside of himself, he's tempted, he wants, he's grappling, he's in a struggle. See 200 people who've never worked on themselves, and they're all like involuntarily just. I went to Avad in Eretz Yisrael where he worked. He was working exercises with us. I'm becoming better people. He was describing, we're all here. Somebody like loudly, the door like opens up. He's talking about people, just everybody like involuntarily. An ambulance comes by and everybody turns. He was talking, he had us write down 10 things a day that you didn't do like that. An ambulance came by and you didn't turn around to see, to check. It's okay. Just for the purpose, I'm not. It describes Rishon Kimites, like Shaf, Asher to defend a ruach that the wind blows. You're barely a person. You're like controlled. Go here, do this. Like, where's you in the equation? So just if the ambulance can come by and you didn't look, so it came by. With this Yid who gave the shear, we once had a Maisa. He was in the middle of the shear, and there was like an explosion right outside the room, and he kept going like nothing changed. He was such a human. He wasn't like control. Look here. I was zeicha to see Rabbi Victor Miller. I saw a human being. You know, sometimes a Rebbe is saying a shear, and he like picks his ear. He scratched. Reb Miller was so human, was so dignified. He didn't have like all these extra movements. Nobody working. If you're not up to it, it just brings to OCD. But he was such a developed person of dignity. He was very clean, prestigious, and a lot of like movements that are born out of a low awareness of self, of just being owned and controlled. He was such movements with purpose. You saw in him tremendous dignity. That alone, there's something there. The person like visualizes 200 barroom people looking there, would make him turn away. Oh, v'chatasi lelikim, and as well, God said not to look. The Svarim discuss Meir.
Wouldn't that be a little bit stronger of a reason not to do the Avera? If we were all logical with ourselves when it came to Averas, we wouldn't do an Avera. So the first reason that I couldn't betray my boss, yeah, when you're not faced with a struggle, that's a very strong reason not to do it. But when you're faced with a struggle in that moment, I can't always be logical with an Avera. Like, the kind of the Avera is just so strong, I can't like be logical with it.
I would say, I hear what you're saying. Navera is very much, the whole side of Navera is me. And I knock Hashem out of the equation. I would almost, the way I'm hearing it, man, I'm asking you, I don't know, that at that moment, if I can't see myself being a betrayer either, so I don't even have to come out of me. When we say a lot, even it's not even just logical. So I agree with you. If you start analyzing logically here, even emotionally, I can't be I'm not a betrayer. I can even within myself grab onto something and feel that I don't see myself as a betrayer. That's what we're wondering. Stuck in yourself, which is the moment of chet. If we could find something just in basic derech eretz, I'm not a betrayer, I don't have to come out of myself yet. At that point, I could already held myself back. Chatasi lelikim. That's what I'm hearing what Daniel would say.
They have to have that perspective of themselves. They have to take time to think about that beforehand. If not, you're not going to have that emotional quality.
B'shasta,
They
b'shasta.
have to take time to actually think of themselves that way.
That I'm not a betrayer. I have to see myself as dignified. Yeah.
Right. If the person identifies that, then they can't tap into that emotion.
I'm moved of it. It's true. As I'm reading the pasuk, I'm moved by the dignity of the person saying that. I am moved by that. As I was reading the pasuk, I was feeling.
That's needed. Like, people need that.
David's saying, like you just read the pasuk, what he's saying to himself. I'm very moved by the dignity of the person. That's amazing. It's amazing psukim. This is, again, I asked the guys put these psukim through ourselves. That we should attach ourselves. This is an incredible. This is Yosef Atzadik's Kayach Vayimoen of holding back. But we should study it further. This was all like a demonstration of reading a pasuk and trying to process. Daniel demonstrated putting a pasuk through his system, and we have to put the psukim through our systems in a shtarkoif and put the psukim through our systems. I want to talk for a few minutes.
What are the three approaches?
The Rezi says we should chazer the different approaches. The three to chazer. We came up. Rezi is right. All trying to study a pasuk of Chumash. Ilam, what we were asking is, when Yosef Atzadik refuses, he first gives a shmooze that it would be a betrayal to my boss, and then he adds v'chatasi l'elikim. Did I have a cash on that? A little what I'm bothered by is the betrayal reasons, not your real reason, because even if it wouldn't be a betrayal, you wouldn't do it, because chatasi l'elikim. So it's not the true reason. That if you ask what's the truer reason, you can't say that's true, because even if you didn't have that, you wouldn't have done it. So why is he giving that? First of all, it's a betrayal. Also, chatas l'hakim. So the betrayal is not the reason. The chatas l'hakim's kailul, even when it wouldn't be a betrayal, if he wouldn't have been your boss. So we had three approaches. Momo said he was talking to her. She might not care chatas l'hakim. As for me, chatas l'hakim, what you would understand, he wanted to say something she would understand. Even that's rather amazing. What does he care if she understands? But that would help him not be nechshal l'chayra. But he says something she would klape her. You understand that? I don't know if you care chatas l'hakim. As for me, chatas l'hakim. That's Momo. Pshat number one, Rebezi. Pshat number two, we said, is derech eretz kadma l'tayra. The breach in derech eretz is a more basic breach. First, you have to be a human, and you can be a from human. So he said, "You're right. It's kailo more case chatasi l'elikim, but there's a breach of I'm not a human being if I do it. I have no derech eretz. That's a starting point. You come afterwards chatasi l'elikim. The people who have the first thing, you're a person. You could be a from person. So kaidem kol is that's our second approach. The third approach is Daniel, that when you're holding in the moment of Nisayan, you're stuck in you. You can't get to Chatas L'Hakim always. If he could find something within my own stuck in me, but I'm not a betrayer, that I can connect to. If you find something within you, Daniel, I wonder if we could always find something. Could be we always can. I don't know. I don't even need to come out of me. My boss trusts me. I'm going to do this. This feels ridiculous. After I already hold myself back, I can start coming to Chatasi L'Elikim. So we have three approaches to this incredible pasuk in the Torah. I did this as I don't want to say as a sample, because I told the Chevra that I'm very against learning how to learn. Just learn, and while you learn, you'll learn how to learn. Since we just did, I didn't do this like, hey, there's a good teaching technique to speak about learning. I wanted to learn, I promise. Just while we learn, we should also learn about learning while we're learning. So what I want to learn about learning is exactly Chanukah, Hudi. The Mefarshim bring that when Yavan attacks, they want lashkichim Torah secha. They want us to forget Torah. The specific Torah that Yavan was against is Torah Shebal Peh. They want lashkichim Torah secha. They want us to forget Torah is Torah Shebal Peh. They do not want Torah Shebal Peh. Why do they not like Torah Shebal Peh? This is the key thing. Yavan can't stand, and we say in Alanisim, they want Lashkichim Torah Secha, to forget Torah. They want the Torah of the Yid analyzing Torah, Torah Shebal Peh. A Yid takes the pasuk and processes the pasuk, puts it through his systems, through his experiences, and processes the Torah. They don't like Torah Shabbal Peh. The very simple reason they don't Torah Shabbal Peh is Yavan, whatever you're strong at, you're sensitive if somebody has that better than you. If you're a Geber and somebody's stronger, you're sensitive to his strength. Yavan has Chachma. And Yavan values Chachma, and Chachma is valuable. They're brilliant, Yavan. Aristotle is brilliant. The Rambam praises Aristotle. They have Chachma. And they can't stand the Yid who has a Chachma that's deeper and more powerful than their Chachma. It's a Chachma that connects to Ratzon Hashem. It's a Chachma that's a super-powered Chachma, because the person studying Torah Hashem. I want to read a Gemara that my Rebbe says this Gemara. I saw my Rebbe cry reading this Gemara. Halavai, my Rebbe would be here and cry for us reading the Gemara, but I want to try to give over what I think moved my Rebbe so much about this Gemara. And I want to study Gemara B'Metzia with the Chevra and describe what I think was so moving to my Rebbe in this Gemara. Pace, the Gemara says like this. The Gemara, all of us, we know the Gemara, but let's read it. Nun Testament Beis and Bab Metzia. And the Gemara says there was a machlokes Rabbi Eliezer and the Chachamim. And Rabbi Eliezer said, Kol tshuva sheba'olam. He said every time on the Chachamim, he was the minority, they were the majority, and they had a war about the kashrus of an oven. And Rabbi Eliezer said all the answers in the world v'loi kiblu imenu, they didn't accept, they didn't agree with him. They were slugging it out. He had kol tshuva sheba'olam. Very fascinating expression. He had every answer in the world. It's a funny expression to say. Rabbi Eliezer said every tshuva sheba'olam v'loi kiblu imenu, they didn't accept it. I have the Hadgasha, why it says it like that, Daniel. Kol tshuva sheba'olam. Every answer in the world, and they didn't accept it. The Gemara is going to then show he's going to go to the heavens. And it means they argued in as much as we understand, Kol tshuva sheba'olam means they went in all human comprehension, he tightened it all his power, and they didn't accept in our svara, that's Kol tshuva sheba'olam. In our world, in the way we logically understand, he put everything on the table, and they weren't maskim. Amar lehem, so now he went out of our world. And he said to Malacha Kemaisi, if I'm right, Charuv Zeh Yochiach, let this carob tree prove it. I'm telling you I'm right. I know I'm right. He pointed to a tree. The tree, if I'm right, let the carob tree testify I'm right. Nekar Charuv Mimkaimei Meya Amma. The carob tree flew 100 amas. Testifying Rabbi Eliezer is right. Va'amri la'arba meis amas. Some say 400 amas. We don't care about what the carob tree says. Let the water, there was a water body, they were arguing near some stream. He said, if I'm right, let the stream testify. The stream started flowing backwards. The very earth started testifying that Rabbi Eliezer is right. The stream, in defiance of nature, starts flowing backwards, testifying Rabbi Eliezer is right. We're not mishtaimim, no proofs from the stream. The very walls of this space medrash should testify I'm right. The walls started falling down. Rabbi Yeshua screamed at the walls. We're having a debate in halacha. You have no business. You have no business. This is our fight. Back off. It's not your fight. The Kaisley Beis HaMedrash started falling down. Lai naflu, so the Kaisley Beis HaMedrash didn't fall in. They kfaydish Rabbi Yeshua. Out of honor to Rabbi Yeshua, they didn't fall in. But they didn't stand upright. They kfaydish Rabbi Eliezer. They were like the tower of, I don't know how to say that word. Pizza, okay. The Tower of Pisa, they were like the walls of the Beis Medrash. In Rebbe school, they say that joke. The walls of the Beis Medrash were halfway, were on an angle. They didn't fall down because they covered Rebbe Yeshua. They didn't stand up because the covered of Rebbe Lazar. Vadayin matin v'ayim chaz v'amla malacha k'maisi. Rebbe Lazar keeps going. If the halacha is like me, min hashamayim yochichu, from the heavens they should testify. Yatsa baskol, a heavenly voice comes out, a baskol. A heavenly voice, a baskol comes out and says, Malachem eitz Rebbe Lacha shalach k'maisim kol makim. The halacha is like Rebbe Eliezer. On Rebbe Yeshua Ragla, Rebbe Yeshua stands on his feet. V'amar loy b'shamayimi. It's not in the heavens. My loy b'shamayimi, it's not in the heavens. Amr b'yemish kvar nasna Torah me'ar Sinai. Einonu mashkichim bebaskol. We don't listen to the heavenly voice. It's our Torah. Shekvar kasavto bar Sinai. You wrote it ar Sinai b'Torah. Achrei rabbin lahatos. You go after the rabbin. So we're not listening to a baskol. You can have every miracle in the world saying like Rabbi Eliezer. You can have a baskol min hashamayim, but you gave us the Torah. Loi b'shamayim. It's not in the heavens. You gave us the Torah. I love it. Says Rabbi Yeshua stood al ragla. He stood up. He stood on his regalim. We were given faith. We were given the opportunity to study Torah. We have raglayim in the Beis Medrash. We have a right to say pshat. Ashkar Reb Nassan Elio. Reb Nassan found Elio Anavi. Amle, my Ovid Kud Shabrich Bushait. What was Hashem saying? He must have been upset. On the earth, they're like fighting against the heavens. Amle Kachiyach. He laughed. Hashem smiled. Kaviyachol. V'amar nitzchuni banai nitzchuni. Nitzchuni bana, he said twice, my children have beat me, they defeated me. He was excited, he was happy. He was happy that they won out, my children won out. Remarkable chazal that the Torah is ours. And this is a fascinating inyan. What does it mean? What does it mean? In Shamayim it said Allah is like Eliezer, and they didn't see it that way, and they argue with Eliezer. What does that mean? That the Torah is according to the way we see it. What does that mean? There's a Reb Tzadok, and Reb Tzadok says it calls the Torah in Parashas Nitzavim. In Azinu, I apologize, in Azinu, all the way at the end of the Torah, it refers to the Torah as Tal. It refers to the Torah as dew. Yarev kamatar lichi. The Torah is referred to as rain. Tizal kat. Tizal katalim rasi. The Torah is like dew. The Torah is like rain. I understand. Rain causes things to grow. Hashem gives us Torah. We soak it up and it brings things out of us, which is remarkable that it's rain, by the way. Many people misunderstand, and the way we're learning Torah, because we understand it's rain. It means that there's tremendous greatness in you and me. And when you put the pasuk in us, the peiros are not in the rain, they're in us. The Torah studied, put a human being with Torah, and he processes it and says a pshat, and produces tremendous peiros, Torah Shabal Peh. It's called rain. What is it that it's called Tal? Says Reb Tzadok HaKohen, this is what it means that Torah is called Tal. Says Reb Tzadok, listen to this. This is Torah Shabal Peh. Shemoifiya Hashem Yisparach B'leiv HaChachamim. Hashem puts like a Ruach HaKodesh inside the Chachamim. It's like Tal. A person doesn't see it coming down min hashamayim. You just find that the ground is wet. Dew, you never see it fall from the heavens. You just see the ground is wet. V'cheinu is chadshas Torah Shabal Peh. The same thing Torah Shabal Peh, Momo. Asher ein adam margish ha'arav hashpa b'leiv. You don't see Hashem giving. It's not like a prophecy, so the person experiences Hashem telling them something. Torah Shabal Peh, it feels like it comes from the mensch. Nid maloishin ischadish b'sichloi ve'emes hu me Hashem yisparach. Shemeir b'libay. It's really from Hashem. The person who learns Torah Lishma with sincerity and Lishma, Hashem puts in a chachma. That's why it's like tal. It's just wet and svaras are produced. He says it's parallel to the Ma'ar Alavana, that it looks like an Ar Atzmi, and be'emes it's an Ar from the Shemesh. That is Torah Shabbal Peh. Torah Shabbal Peh is the toiler in Torah. And Hashem puts Chachma to the one who's learning Torah Lishma and allows him to say Chedushay Torah, that Hashem wants to be brought out in the world, that comes out through the person. That's Torah and Torah Shabbal Peh. The Chachamim of Yavan, who are stuck in a Chachma that's limited to a person, hate this Torah, this Limudat Torah that produces a Chachma that comes from Shemayim, to the one who's learning Torah, to the one who's studying Torah, to the one who's producing Torah Shabbal Peh, to the one who could say, like, the walls can't prove, in heaven they can't prove. It's in the person. That's what it means Torah was given to us. It means that it's within us, within our own svaras, within our own viewpoints of bringing out bringing out Chachmas Hashem, what Hashem puts in the heart of each Chacham who's learning Torah with sincerity. Listen to what the Chassam Sofer says as follows. Everybody knows the kasha that be'emes midaraisa, the goyim have no tumah midaraisa. The goyim went to the heichal u'metame all the shmanim, u'metame all the oils, and the goyim have no kayach to be midaraisa, has no tumah. So why do we need the pach shemen? Haylemitzinu tumah la'akum michayim. When a guy is alive, a guy when he dies has tumah. A live guy has no tumah. It's a Gemara, ein akum mitamim beziva. It's a Gemara in Nida. We learn from Sukkim, a guy who's alive has no tumah. So what does it mean? What does it mean? The Yevanim, or Metame, all the Shmanim, all the oils, they have no tumah. Now it's true, the Rabbanan were geyser tumah on the Goyim. So he says, first of all, the Gzeira wasn't made yet. It was Yudches Gzeiris made 100 years later. So the Pri Chadash says, even though there was no Gzeira yet made on tumah of a guy who's alive, on Kadshim they made a Gzeira already. On Kadshim there was a Gzeira. So you have to understand, this that the Shemen was Tameh was only a Derabanan. Listen to the Chassam Sofer. The Chassam Sofer says that the Chachamim at the time of Chanukah Shloim had a Shaila. The whole reason all the oils were Tameh is Derabanan. That's clear. It's a din Derabanan. A guy while he's alive, Midarais is not Mitameh. So listen to this, the Yevanim were Mitameh all the oil, it wasn't Tameh Midarais. The Rabbanan cleared, the Chassam Sofer says, maybe we should are we going to keep our Gzeira and knock out Adlakas HaMenorah? It's a mitzvah deraisa to light the menorah. You have a deraisa to light the menorah. We have a Gzeira Derabanan that we're geyser ziva, that a goy mechayim is called a zav. It's a Gzeira Derabanan. Maybe in the face of Adlakas HaMenorah, we should be mevatel the Gzeira. The Chachamim weren't sure, says the Chassam Sofer. Says the Chassam Sofer, he says like this. The whole miracle was only needed because the Rabbanan answered and said a goy mechayim is tamei. Says the Chassam Sofer, the whole nace was a validation of the Chachamim. The whole nace that Hashem made the Pach Shemen burn is a validation that the Chacham were geyser tumah. Don't use that. It was a validation of the Takanas Chachamim, he says. And he says like this, the Chassam Sofer says, Chachmei Adar v'nevuchim, should we make our Gzeira, when we're going to be mevatel ha'avodas adlaka? Asa HaKadosh Baruch Hu neis, v'dala ches yamim, in order that they shouldn't be mevatel adlakas neiros, umizeh hiru lehem min hashamayim. Hashem showed from the heavens, haskama al gidrei chazal, agreeing to the Gzeiros L'Chachamim, Nischazik Hadas v'Torah Sheba'al Peh. It was a tremendous chizuk of Torah Sheba'al Peh, of the Chachamim, of our Torah, and the Chacham were Geizik Gzeiros K'fi Rois Seineim, according to what they see when they study Torah, according to what they see. And he says it was a Hira Loim Nashamayim Askam Al Gidrei Chazal in the Neiros lighting. That's what he speaks on. Hayshataman b'nei sazeh ikar gadol ma'id. Besides the neis, they didn't have to be mevatel adin derabanan. There was a gilui v'askama min hashamayim legidrei chazal v'gzeiroisem, and through that it was nischazik hadas v'torah sheba'al peh, which is what the Yevanim fought against, lashkichem Torah secha, to forget the Torah. I spoke about this last week, but the pasuk in the parsha, in this week's parsha, this coming week, when Elaine Shabbos Chanukah, and the pasuk about Yosef HaTzadik, that he said to appoint a Navam v'chacham on Mitzrayim. And Parei says, a Navam v'chacham kamaycha. You're an Ish Elokim, you're a man of God. And a Navam v'chacham, all the intellect in the world, but that's not attached to somebody who's studying Torah, who's looking for Chachmas Hashem to come into our hearts, which is exactly what happens to the learner of Torah, to the person who puts the psukim of the Torah through his heart, who takes the psukim and the Mamarim of Chazal through his hearts. Exactly what happens, that person, Hashem puts Chachma, Yizar Katal Rasi, it becomes like Tal, the Chachmas Hashem goes in his heart. Ein Navam v'chacham k'moicha Yosef, I want you, Parei says. All the Chachma in the world doesn't match somebody who's a person who's Ish Elokim, Ruach Elokim boy. So I wanted to wish us all, we should all have a lichtige Chanukah, this precious mitzvah d'Rabbanan, the mitzvah divrei Sefer that we're going to say Asher Kedeshanu b'mitzvaysa v'tzivanu ladlik ner shel Chanukah. We should all be zeiche taka to do the mitzvah, tremendous joy, to understand that this, the Ma'aseh Adlaka, what Yavan wanted to do. Yavan wanted to cancel, wanted to knock out Torah Sheba'al Peh, people who study Torah, people who ask, what does Hashem say on this matter, and people who process Torah through their system. What Rai Shapiro said on Shabbos, learn Psukim, learn Gemaras, ask yourself, put it through your systems, the whole Torah. Ask, what do I think is being said here? What's being said? What's being asked? Take the Divrei Torah, put it through your system. Hashem, through that, brings out, it's matter, it brings out tremendous things that Hashem puts inside of us. It's like Tal, we don't always feel, the Chachma comes from a higher source. When we take Psukim, we take Mamari Chazal, we take the words of Torah and put it through our system, it brings out tremendous things from within. This is what Yavan tried to fight Torah Sheba'al Peh. We're zeiche through this whole story to a tremendous mitzvah precisely from Torah Sheba'al Peh, the mitzvah Chaviva of Ner Chanukah, that we're going to be zeiche to light the Ner Chanukah. And all of us should be zeiche to make a connection to Torah, a real connection to Torah, to study Torah, to put it start through your system. Read Psukim, read Gemaras, read Mamari Chazal, and ask yourself, put it through your systems. It's not just about quoting. The Rashba says, the Ritva, of course, study. But is the Rashba's cash, if it bothers you, it's processed through your system. It becomes connected to you, and by you processing it through, you bring out your own Havana, your own understanding of Torah. All of us should be zeiche to make a very, very strong personal connection to Torah. It's not my way to take every single Yom Tov and connect it to Limud HaTorah, specifically for any simple Pshat and Alanisim. A Yom Tov that connects to Limud HaTorah like Chanukah. Chanukah was Lashkichem Torah Secha, was to make Klal Yisrael not be connected specifically to Torah Sheba'al Peh. All of us should be zeiche to connect to Torah Sheba'al Peh. The Amelus HaTorah of studying Torah, processing Torah, asking kashas, figuring out. We should be zeiche to Aliyah and Torah Sheba'al Peh, to process the Torah through all of our collective systems, and we should see the great art, the great light that brings to the world should be brought out to each and every one of us. There will be a minyan for mincha now. Thank you. It's 4:30. Quick minyan for mincha next door. A quick second. Say that Lucas Snares will be 5:05, 5:10.